All right, I have crunched the numbers, and it turns out that I have taught 1,364 students total, and I physically wrote it down. But for YouTube, we're gonna round it up to 1,500 for the YouTube title, and we're gonna call it a day, because you gotta go viral, you know how it goes. And as I'm thinking about all these students, they kind of all blur together, not because they're not important or they're not each individually wonderful. It's because I realize as you're teaching music or teaching anything, you're also dealing with your personal life. So one day you're worrying about your sick dog and you're teaching a little kid, and the other day you're worried about your grades or some tragedy or something else, or even, you know, driving a car 82 miles per hour into a wall, and, you know, you go to the hospital, you go to the emergency room, and you're not supposed to move, but you're still teaching a lesson, and yeah. And so I'm thinking now, and I want to write down the 5 students who have impacted me the most as a teacher. So something they have taught me and not the other way around. And I wanted to share those with you guys today, and I hope you guys enjoy. So the first one that I can think of here, and this is as I was a early up and coming teacher, I think I was freshly 16, excited to go teach lessons, and I had about maybe 4 or 5 kids kind of on my clientele. I still taught at the music stores. And so this student's mom calls me and she asks if I teach piano, and I say, of course, you know, kind of spoiler alert, I taught piano. I was a professional violinist, I was good at piano. But when I say good at piano, I mean beginning and intermediate. That'll become important as you keep going through the story. And so I say yes, you know, I get the address, we text back and forth with mom, she's excited, I'm excited. Maybe I'll get my 6th student today, and so the day comes. And so I knock on the door, and I'm holding my beginning piano book. I have a little notebook that has my lesson plans and stickers and things like that. And a little 7-year-old opens the door. And I mean small, like tiny, like up to my knees, and I'm not very tall. And he opens the door and says hi, and I say hi, and so I take my shoes off, I enter the home, we sit down at the piano, I ask him a few questions like, what's your favorite food, you know, the good stuff, you know, makes the kid feel comfortable. And the kid goes, okay, Mr. Karan, should I show you what I've been working on, maybe so we can work on it? And I said, of course, 7-year-old kid. And I sit back, you know, and I'm ready with my beginning piano book, ready to teach, and the kid opens up sheet music, and it says Fantasie Impromptu by Chopin. I'm just like, okay. And he starts playing. Like Fantasie Impromptu at age 7, and he just starts going. I'm sitting there as this kid is playing, and I just slowly lowered down my beginning book. I just like, let's just put that aside, make sure he didn't see. And I begin thinking like, I need a pivot, like what am I going to do? And so as I'm listening to this prodigy play and just go at the piano, I begin picking up on things that you really only can learn with experience. And so although I wasn't his level of piano, not even close. I was a professional violinist, and I had spent countless of hours in lessons and solo work and rehearsals with conductors that are not very kind. And you know, I had done music for a very long time. I was a professional singer in Bulgaria. Not what this is about. But there are things like lack of smoothness, like where the music needed to breathe. There wasn't any sort of dynamic variance at all. There wasn't any phrasing. And so these are all things that you can pick up on and you end up learning after you learn how to play the instrument. Long story short, it was very evident that he didn't really have much experience in telling a story with music, or what we call phrasing. Up until that point, what he was really good at is looking at the notes and playing them up to speed. As soon as the lesson was over and I was done sweating, I turned around and mom was there and his older brother was there, and they were stunned. They were super happy. They ended up signing up for lessons, and you know, I taught him for a couple of years. But that was one that, you know, taught me a lot of things. Firstly, it taught me that I should probably have some sort of a way to know the experience of the students when they first call for lessons. So that became something that I began asking on the phone, and eventually when my company started, I ended up asking for what is your level of experience, and that was just a noob mistake. Granted, it was like my 5th ever students privately, so I learned that. But something else I kind of learned as well was that music is not all about the notes and being able to play it, say, up to speed. I learned the importance that a musician having experience is something valuable, although you may not be the expert at that instrument. Now, that does not mean that someone professional at one instrument can just go and teach all the instrument, but it does mean that there are things like phrasing, like musicality, letting the music breathe, and there are things that once you get really advanced in one field of music, you are able to kind of translate into how to practice it better and to kind of do different things aside from just what note is that, how do we play it. All this to say, and not to contradict here, also don't overreach when it comes to what you are able to teach, and I'm happy that I was able to teach this kid a lot. The second kid I want to talk about today, his name was Steven. Now, Steven was shy and, not in the usual shy way, but in like a trained way. Like the normal jokes wouldn't land, and when they did land, he would laugh, but as soon as he would crack a smile, he would kind of bring himself back in, almost like he wasn't allowed to smile and wasn't allowed to be happy or do this because it's lesson time. When I would ask him about anything he likes to do, he would just kind of say, good. Like, he would answer, but he would answer in a way that he wasn't supposed to or wasn't allowed to talk about himself. This wasn't right now what we're doing. Now, his mom was a tiger mom, and I was able to quickly see the dynamic at home. Whenever he would make a mistake, mom would yell from across the room, don't make a mistake, etc. But I was able to see that at home, his life was full of, yes, mom, and this is what you're supposed to do and nothing else. It became very clear to me, and this is over the course of months, and I taught him for 2 years, that I was the only person in his life that asked him how his day was, that was interested in what he did at school, that was interested in what he's watching or what he's doing later that day. One thing that was sweet is after some time, and we're talking 7-8 months, he would slowly open up, and if we're in the lesson and mom is done walking away, he would kind of then share with me a list of things that he wrote down that he wanted to tell me about what he did that week. And of course, if mom came, he would immediately do this and go back. And although personally I felt really bad for him, I was very happy that I was that person for him. I think this one really goes to show, or at least it showed me, the scope of what a music teacher really can be in a student's life. A lot of the times it's not just about the music, and you end up being the only person in their life, like with Steven, who asked them how their day is, and they just can't wait to tell you. So the music lessons sometimes may not be just about the music. They might be a little bit more about the student, and that's a good thing. Number 3 is this kiddo named Christian. Now, Christian was, I think, 8 years old when I started teaching him, and they lived in this really, really cute house, really nice neighborhood, super nice family. I taught him the same way that I taught every other kid, with love, and we had a bunch of fun in the lessons. We learned piano, we did the usual at-home performances, he got little certificates, we had a lot of fun. And something I knew at the time, but it didn't really hit me as anything important, is mom was the executive director of what was in that region the biggest church. And I mean like mega church. And she was super sweet. She wasn't intimidating at all. She would feed me all kinds of food. It was very, very sweet. But over time, she was well connected in the area. And so over time, she kind of referred me a student. She told a different parent, hey, we have this really nice music teacher. He's super tall, 6'5", really nice.
What?
Funny joke?
Sorry.
But you seem sarcastic when you said that. You don't think the jokes.
I'm just shocked that you said that.
I am not 6'5". You don't think I'm 6'5"?
You are. You are definitely 6'5". 6'10".
Much better. Anyway, so she referred to me as student, and then she referred to me another one, and then another one, and then another one. And so this mom referred to me, and I wrote this down in preparation for the video, a total of 13 students. In my time teaching Christian, and this was, I think I taught him for 5 or 6 years, of a long time. And I stopped counting after the first 2 years. So within 2 years, she referred me 13 students. That's not the craziest part. I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but I think by about year 3, I want you to imagine a neighborhood, right? You go into the street, there's houses, there's a cul-de-sac, there's houses, and back onto the street. By year 3, I taught every single house on that neighborhood. And I'm not exaggerating. So I would arrive like a mail delivery man. I would park my car and I would just start doing my rounds every single house. I think that's just a cool story and just a cool thing that happened. Not so much I got so many students from this, but it got to a point where I was so trusted. I would go to family get-togethers, birthday parties. They had sports competitions, like a football competition for the neighborhood. I became a part of the whole family. And so why did I include this as one of the 5 students that changed me? This one really taught me, even when you're not trying to impress or you're not trying to get more students and you're not actively advertising, asking for referrals, if you are yourself and you are just the person that you are in lessons, you just might land on somebody that not has connections, but someone that's connected in the actual neighborhood or community and can kind of get you some extra students. And so Christian was a wonderful kiddo, and that's number 3. Number 4 is technically 2 students, but it is one experience. There were these 2 little boys, 8 and 9 years old, and one of them was on the spectrum to the point where he was nonverbal. Now, at the time, I didn't really have much experience with kids on the spectrum, and especially not with kiddos that were nonverbal. And this is just the sweetest kids. He was full of energy, full of life. When I entered the home, even before we ever sat down at the piano, he would show me everything around the house. This kiddo had no sense of personal space. So we would sit down and he would just climb onto my lap and he'd just start playing. And you know, mom would look like, oh, no, you know, I'm so sorry. I said, it's okay. He's just a kid. Every time I would move him over or his mom would move him over, he would just climb back up like, no, this is where I play now. It was very, very sweet. You know, mom kept apologizing. He's just a kiddo. It was completely okay. The interesting thing about this one is he was learning in his own little way. So mom used a lot of sign language. She was always right there next to us, sitting down the entire lesson. Me and mom almost developed like a tag team relationship because she would watch for his cues. She would watch for when he has a little bit of a fit, and I would kind of do the music thing, and we just learned piano in our own little way. The thing that I kind of remember the most out of that lesson is mom's entire demeanor, because she was there smiling, super calm, and whenever the kiddo would have a fit, like he would scream or he would punch the piano because he would get frustrated over nothing, mom would sit there. She wouldn't freak out, or the way I saw it was, okay, he's screaming, he's hitting the piano, what do I do to kind of bring him back in? Mom didn't see it that way. She was calm the entire time. She was smiling, and she kind of operated from the point of view of, this is my kiddo, he's curious about the piano, and we're gonna just kind of go through the motions together. That type of demeanor really kind of stood out to me. And it was time for his older brother's lesson. They would just switch out. The older one would sit down. He wasn't on the spectrum, so he was much easier to work with, and then mom would go play with the little tornado. This experience kind of opened my eyes to not only what teaching a kiddo on the spectrum is like, but it also showed me that teaching doesn't, this sounds cliche, trust me, I know, but it showed me that teaching doesn't come in one specific way. It can look very different depending on the kiddo. And in this specific scenario, like I said, me and mom had a tag team relationship, figuring it out as we go. And mom just saw this, and I guess unlike me at the time, she just saw it as, this is my kid and this is how he's gonna learn, and we're working together. And thinking about it now, how brave of mom to seek out lessons, not knowing if the teacher was up for such a crazy, energetic little tornado that will jump on your lap and play. So I don't know, I kind of see that as a very heroic thing. Her patience was heroic, and I guess her bravery to go in and look for a teacher. I taught them for, I think, 2 years. Super sweet family. He would give me the biggest hugs every day that I came in, that little kid. So yeah, I definitely remember those guys. Now this one really stayed with me. So this little girl's name was Sophia. She was about 9 or I think 10 years old. And she was a shy little girl. She wasn't just quiet, but if you've taught for a long enough time, you're able to kind of tell when a student is shy because they haven't opened up yet or because they're kind of carrying something deeper. And this was definitely the second case scenario. She would be engaged, she would listen, she was kind of happy when it comes to the piano, she followed all my directions, and she didn't, like I said, she didn't seem to have a bad mood or anything, but it was almost like she was listening in for something else, or she was always kind of aware of something else. And as I would teach her, you would pick up on a couple of things here and there, like for example, the family pictures always had mom with very nice long luscious hair, but then when I would see mom, she would always wear a beanie. And a lot of the times during our lessons, you would hear mom upstairs, and she would kind of cough like a lot, and it wasn't the normal cough, it was the cough that like makes the room stop, the gasping for air. And it was, you know, I would just watch Sophia, and her eyebrows would kind of go like this, and she would kind of stiffen up. Over time, dad actually ended up telling me that mom was very, very sick, and you know, a lot of those things kind of clicked. So my mindset kind of shifted from what do we learn this week the most to how can I make this lesson like the most fun she has ever had? How can I make this lesson a safe space where it's just kind of a light experience? So I leaned into humor a lot. I would make her cry from laughter, I think at least once every lesson. I mean, we had so much fun. We would watch videos and she just fell in love with the piano. There were days where you could tell she hadn't slept much, and there were days where they would be back from the hospital, so she really wasn't into it. But like I said, we leaned into humor and we had so much fun during the lessons. Without going into too much detail, maybe this kind of story hit me a lot because I myself have had a time where my mom was very, very sick, and whether or not she would make it something kind of I had to deal with or consider. But I was 16 in my shallow view of life, you know, I was 16 when I had to deal with that. And she was like 9 or 10. So I'm not saying I was perfectly equipped to deal with that myself, but it may be because I'm a father now. I have a little 9-month-old girl. So maybe kind of imagining a 9-year-old having to grapple with this just kind of really hit me a lot. A little bit after that, Dad actually texted me and he thanked me, not because I made her a prodigy piano player, although she did very good, but he thanked me for helping her work through a hard time because she could not wait to see me every week. I ended up teaching him for free, not that it matters, but it was just kind of my way of how can I make this easier for you. And why did it stick with me? I think once again, it's reinforcing something I found out back when I first started and something I'm finding out now and constantly learning, is that your life as a music teacher is very often a lot more than just teaching music. This probably spans into other versions of teaching too, or being a mentor of a little student, but that's kind of why it stuck with me, and it's a lesson I'm always gonna remember. Whether or not it is 1,500 exactly or 1,364, those are, I think, 5 that, for me, are ones I'm always gonna remember. How do we end the video?
I think you're supposed to thank them for watching or something.
Like the viewers?
Tell them to subscribe.
Okay, what else?
And tell them to comment below.
Just anything?
The student that changed them.
What if they're not teachers? What if a student didn't change them?
Tell them to comment how much they liked the video and why they liked
What if they didn't like the video?
it. Tell them to lie.
Aha, okay. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. My wife said I'm supposed to thank you and to tell me how much you liked this video in the comments. And you're supposed to lie if you didn't like it. Just say you liked it. Also, if you're a teacher, you happen to be a teacher, how did students change you? And if you don't happen to be, what happens if they're not a teacher?
Tell them to become a teacher and then come
They come back and comment on the video.
Yeah.
Become a teacher and come back and comment on the video. Thank you for watching. That's really funny.